You, Caitlin, even though you're part of the weather department, I do feel sorry for you during weeks like this.
People
are not happy.
I'm not happy.
People are not happy at all.
Okay, so today we're going to be in the low 50s. We should be 20 degrees warmer than this. Our normal is in the 70s. And we've got clouds, we have scattered showers, we've got fog. Luckily, so yesterday we were looking at that potential for severe weather. Today it's just a few scattered showers and drizzle around. But tomorrow we've got the chance for rain again. Temperatures into the upper 50s. But then we have Memorial Day weekend to look forward to. And I know you think Memorial Day weekend, the pools are opening, it's time to go swimming. We're going to be in the 60s, so it's not terrible, but
not great.
Not great.
Maybe in the sunshine. You said, I think you used the verb over-deliver.
Yes.
During the newscast today. You said Mother Nature might over-deliver on the temperatures.
With the sunshine. Mid to upper 60s expected Saturday. And you can hear my allergies, I think, going on, which reminds me there might be a Kleenex shoved behind you.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. I blew my nose and I was just thinking, where did that Kleenex go? Sorry, guys. Over-deliver this weekend. That would be great. So inland locations especially, like Saturday when we have the sunshine, you could be seeing the upper 60s, which would be
That'd be beautiful. Great. I wouldn't, given what this week has been, I would take upper 60s.
Like maybe not swim weather, but be outside
but backyard
weather,
barbecue weather. We're sticking around. We're hosting. Do you have Memorial Day plans?
We are having a princess birthday party.
A princess? This is the big bounce house unveiling.
Yes, that's right.
I hope it's not windy.
Pictures.
Yeah.
Right. I know. And I think Nat Baum is coming. Natalie Baumke.
Yay.
Emily Walls. I think she's coming too.
And they're bringing the youngsters.
Girls.
Oh, they're gonna have a blast in that bounce house.
It's going to be a nice weekend, you guys. Whatever you have going on, it will be nice. Okay. We're going to have sunshine and dry weather at least. Now, Monday, the chance for rain is back. So Sunday night and then Monday, we have the chance for a little bit of rain. 20-30% chance for wet weather that day, but Saturday and Sunday are looking good and dry. All
right, we got some trending topics to get to here in the next hour. We have people are really, I don't know, lousy sometimes. Fake Apple products are being hawked here in Chicagoland.
Okay.
A completely fake AI-generated news item was included with one of our esteemed local papers that they are having to apologize for. This is actually a good lesson to all you young kids out there, you up-and-coming journalists, about using AI to create content. Yeah, so we'll get to that as well. But we want to start with these fake Apple products. All right, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars in fraudulent profit here, everybody. Caitlin, you've got some of the bullet points. Run us through what happened here.
So we're going to be showing these mugshots. Here we go.
Naughty.
All right, so police arrested 4 men, Salvatore De Rosa, Luca De Martino, Vincenzo De Martino, and Simone Signorelli in a suspected counterfeiting operation after finding more than $573,000 in fake electronics and cash in their cars and home. So the case started on May 7th when Elmhurst police responded to a suspicious vehicle report. The driver, identified as Signorelli, reportedly tried to sell a cell phone to a passerby before driving off.
Which is a little weird. Hey,
who wants to buy
hey, guy on the street, you want a cell phone?
Right. Okay, so then the officers tracked this car to a home in Glen Ellen where all 4 suspects lived together. The next day, Vincenzo De Martino was allegedly trying to sell counterfeit AirPods in Roselle before being stopped by police. So I wonder where they got these things.
This is really odd because they have to look real enough that it would fake, someone out. You know what I mean?
Does it work? I've got so many questions. But also, like you were saying before, who's going to be like, yeah, let me purchase this expensive item from you?
Maybe they're knockoffs that have just enough functionality to pass the so-called sidewalk smell test, if that's a thing.
Or maybe they're on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. No, actually, that is one aspect of these black market items that come in from overseas. We've done stories about fake designer handbags and fake jewelry coming through O'Hare, and there's the fact that there are outlets like Facebook Marketplace and places like Craigslist, it makes it so much easier to hawk these items.
Sure.
But they wound up searching their vehicle and found $45,000 in cash, In one case, and then $90,000 cash in another case.
I don't even know what that would look like. $90,000.
I'm picturing the movies where they open it up and it's a bunch of
Yes, that is wild. Okay, so a search of their home turned up an additional 767 counterfeit items that valued more than $519,000. In total, investigators recovered over $573,000.
A lesson to us all: be careful out there, folks.
And you're going to get home with those fake AirPods, and it's going to say, "This doesn't work."
Exactly. So, word to the wise there. That's an interesting one. Okay, kind of on a similar vein here.
Yeah.
Chicago Sun-Times is having to apologize. Yikes. Let's knock on wood that nothing like this happens in-house. Okay, this summer reading list right here. There's only one problem with it, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Bunch of those titles are the titles of books that never were written.
That is wild.
That don't even exist. A freelance writer, another problematic young man named Marco Buscaglia, he used artificial intelligence to help compile this list, but the only problem is he didn't fact check it. The story included summaries of AI-generated fake titles. So I see a couple that are actually legit. Like I know, bottom right, Call Me By Your Name, that's an actual book.
Migration is a movie that I heard. Yeah.
So some of those are legit, like AI hit the mark, but others...
Dandelion Wine. Sounds cute. I get it. He must have been like on crunch time. Like, oh no, I forgot to do this. Bam.
I can't imagine being a teacher in this environment.
I feel like I could pull up a list if you did a quick little search on like the year's best books summer reads. Like, how hard is that? Why do you need to use AI for that?
I know. I mean, deadline reporting. But so Buscaglia said he was working for a syndicate called King Features, which is part of the Hearst family of companies, to produce content that is sold to media clients across the country. Now, all these agencies have cut ties with young Marco.
Oh, no
so
surprise.
For violating their AI policy. I think what a lot of writers are doing are they're using it to generate some copy. Okay, let's say you're on deadline and you use AI to generate a little bit of copy, but you have to then go through that and make sure that it's actually accurate. So this was actually not part of the Sun-Times, and this isn't a Sun-Times employee, he's a freelancer. But the summer insert wasn't part of the paper. It was like just included with the paper.
Okay.
The Sun-Times has apologized. It's removed the content from the e-paper version of it, the electronic version, and says it is going to be updating its policies to ensure that outside material meets editorial standards and is clearly labeled.
I found the guy on LinkedIn, you guys.
Oh,
wait. Something went wrong. Try refreshing the page. I think he deleted his LinkedIn page. Yeah, because it says freelance writer, editor. Wait, does he have an Instagram? I just wanted to see how old this kid was.
Thinking that he might need to pursue another career path. After this incident.
I don't want to say, but if this is him, he's not as young as I thought he would be.
Neither. I mean,
but there's a Chicago
we don't know if
thing.
That's him. We don't know if that's him.
Curious.
Here's something kind of funny.
Okay.
The last bullet point. Subscribers won't be charged for the faulty edition. You will get your
Marco.
You will get your 50 cents back, everybody, if you...
Oh, no. If this is his Instagram, he needs to make that private.
Okay.
Goodness gracious. Sorry you didn't get your list of summer reads this year.
Sorry.
Anthony.
Some of those are legit. All right,
okay.
So fake. Now we go to something. This is kind
of fun.
This could be real.
Yeah, sure.
This Belichick, this could be real.
Okay, so Belichick and the 20-something. Rumor mill. Ready? The NFL legend, Bill Belichick, might have a new playbook for love. Jordan Hudson has reportedly told at least one person that she's engaged to Bill. One person? Okay, I need more details. Adding a new twist to the high-profile relationship between the 24-year-old pageant contestant and the 73-year-old former NFL coach. Can we do a quick math? What's the years there? 50 between? The New York Times reported 50 years
49
old
years old.
Born.
I think that's the age. I think it's 49.
Oh, okay. Anyways, the New York Times reported that Hudson has claimed an engagement to Belichick, though this has not been confirmed publicly by either party. The couple was first linked in 2023, but reportedly met years earlier on a flight. Interesting. Okay. Their relationship gained attention after Belichick's breakup with the longtime partner, Linda Holliday, in 2022. Neither Hudson nor Belichick have confirmed or commented publicly on the engagement claim.
They are on like a publicity tour, though. And when Tony DeCoppel, he was the CBS correspondent that asked Bill Belichick how they met. You just said on a flight. Remember that clip?
No.
Where she shut down the question. She's like, she's like in the background of the interview, she interjected, "We're not talking about that."
Was she a flight attendant?
I don't think so.
Why would she not want to talk about it? And is he flying
well, because people are saying that's not the exact, I mean, there was speculation that that's not how they met.
Anthony, tell us what you're really trying to say.
I don't know. Hey, I don't want to go down the road of Marco Buscaglia and get our station in trouble for that. But you can read between the lines there.
Yeah.
We have a guy worth tens of millions of dollars, and we have a younger woman who, yeah, exactly. And so,
so do you think there's going to be a prenup? I think there definitely would be a prenup.
This is not really my area of expertise, Caitlin. But what are your thoughts on the age gap? Is this
Grady is 7 years older than I am. I will say that.
I'm 7 years older than Maggie.
Are you?
Yes.
No way.
Same exact. She will turn 40 in October.
Wow.
Do the math
so
there,
did you know that when you started dating?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, my husband thought I was older than I was when we met. And it was fine. It was fine.
7 years. Come on. That's
I crack
peanuts.
jokes at him all the time, of course.
Well, I mean, okay,
it's kind of fun.
If he was 19 and you were 12, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You met as adults. I met Maggie as an adult. Awkward age differences. Hashtag.
But 49
years.
I'm not. I don't think. I don't like it. I don't think I like that very much.
Yucky.
Yeah, because by the time you're 49, you're probably, I mean, you could still have babies, but you're probably past even having babies at that point, you know? And you think like, okay, well, there's a baby that's being born and I'm going to marry that person.
Yeah, there's a lot of mental gymnastics to have to go through to make
Maybe
this
she's
not
an
creepy.
old soul.
Maybe she's an old soul, guys.
What do you think,
Caitlin,
Kyle?
you have such a good heart. You're
I
just
don't know. If they're getting married, I mean, I kind of feel like, why would he do that? Anyways, okay,
that's
let's
another
move on.
one for you at home to ponder. All right, so we're going to take a short break, but with us when we come back, Jake has had some fascinating stories today. He always does. But we lost a Chicago legend yesterday. You were off, and we'll talk about your time off in a second. But this guy is near and dear and just so beloved, not just for his local impact at Second City. We're talking about George Wendt here. But really nationally, this guy became a household name.
Da Bears.
Cheers is a little before probably your time, Caitlin.
Yeah,
you were young in 1980s. Cheers. But anyway, we're going to have some very unique insight from our very own Jake Hamilton about the passing of George Wendt when we come back.
Welcome back to Chicago Now. It smells fresher in here, Jake. I think I smell your soap.
I hope you offset my stench.
From a distance. No. But you know when someone walks by and they smell like fresh laundry or something? I always
tell
people.
Like fresh laundry?
He smells like soap.
Did
you take a shower this morning?
Yeah, I did.
I smell it.
I did.
It's a good thing.
Your weekly shower?
I took it today.
That was really nice of you.
Wow. This worked out well.
It's good. It's fresh.
I appreciate you. Better than the opposite.
That's true. All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Of course. I love you guys.
And I missed yesterday. So Cheers star George Wendt died at 76. So what's going on?
I mean, this is such a loss that I think is felt here more so than maybe anywhere else on the planet, because he was one of us, right? Born on the south side, the Beverly neighborhood, grew up a Bears fan, grew up a Sox fan. It's funny, I was just walking up here and I walked by Fox 32's own Per Schultz, and as soon as I walked by, he goes, George. He goes, it hits you in the heart.
Yeah.
And, Robert Smigel, who was one of his fellow SNL Bears superfans, wrote a really nice comment that I think sort of sums up what we're feeling about George. And he said, no one was more Chicago than George Wendt. He sort of just personified everything that was about us. Even though, I know we're watching clips of Cheers, and even though that is quintessentially a Boston story, George Wendt personified everything that we know about the people of Chicago. You're confident without being pretentious. You're humble. You're a hard worker. You're one of the guys, and I think that's why
salt of the earth.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why he played into the whole Da Bears superfans thing. And that was such a great sketch. It's so funny. I know. He was in all 275 episodes of Cheers. He passed away on the 32nd anniversary of the Cheers finale.
So wild.
And so for so many people, Norm, when he walks in, that was the thing. I guarantee you, that the show ended in '93. There probably weren't that many rooms he walked into without people shouting Norm.
Exactly.
In the same way Robin Williams used to tell stories, even after he won the Oscar, people would yell, "Hey, Mork!" So, those things never leave you.
Mork and Mindy, that's right.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. But in the same way that his characters never left him, I don't think Chicago ever left him.
No.
In the way that it doesn't leave a lot of actors. A lot of these guys, they cut their teeth here, they get their start here, as George did over at Second City. You walk up those stairs and you see the class photos of all the people, and it doesn't matter where you go on this planet. Once that's in you, it's in you forever, and it's in all your characters forever, I think.
Can you believe he was 76?
Yeah. Caitlin, when you were in Michigan, for example, were the superfans a thing? I mean, because a lot of it, I feel like the '90s, he was like the archetypal Chicago, and him, Chris Farley, Smigel, and those guys.
Joe Montana was in that.
Montana, that's right.
Caitlin,
in the '90s, like, was that when you were in Michigan? Growing up in Michigan, do you remember the superfan Bears and all that? Okay.
And I don't know when that came to me. I don't remember when it happened. But yeah, even in Michigan, I mean, far and wide, I think it spread.
I mean, that was kind of that SNL sketch was like the seed. That was it. Kind of that's where that. And now I think it's become part of pop culture where people might even know that phrase without knowing where it came from.
Yeah.
It always pops in my head, right? You can see it.
Yeah.
The image in your mind.
Going back to this is off topic, but like the phrase "That's what she said." Most people know it from The Office, but you know where it actually came from? It's from a Wayne's World sketch.
Really?
It's from a Wayne's World sketch.
Wayne's World, which would make sense because in The Office, Michael Scott was a huge fan of Mike Myers and a huge fan of SNL and a huge fan of Wayne. So it would make sense in The Office that Michael Scott would get it from Wayne. But so The Office made it famous. But my long point being that sometimes these expressions that are a part of our culture, go back to SNL and these small little moments, and the Bear superfans is a great example of that.
I like how you remind us very appropriately that all roads lead back to Chicago. And you were actually able to speak to another local theater guy, Nick Offerman, as well. Speaking of Parks and Rec.
Yeah, were you ever a Parks and Rec fan?
Absolutely.
He was Ron Swanson, one of the greatest sitcom characters of all time.
You got to talk to him.
I did. One of the greatest mustaches.
He's got a great stash.
Yes.
Yeah,
great
that's
stash.
absolutely true.
Parks and Rec is really where he sort of broke onto the scene, but he's a great actor. He won an Emmy for a single guest spot on the HBO series The Last of Us, that zombie show. He won it. Here's how good he is. He won an Emmy for an episode that basically has no zombies in it, just because the drama, the writing, his performance was so good. Now he is going toe-to-toe this weekend against a little actor named Tom Cruise. Nick Offerman, Chicago's own, going to be on the big screen in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And yesterday I was in New York over the weekend, catching up with some of the cast members of Mission Impossible. And the moment that I locked eyes with Nick Offerman, I was like, I got to get him over here. I got to talk to him because we got to talk Chicago. And the thing that we talk about is, it doesn't matter where in the world he goes. It's his theater training here. It's his growing up here. It's his adolescence here that is embedded in who he is and really had an impact on the success that he's had in his career.
You've played so many different characters. Would you say, is there a piece of Chicago that you carry in all the characters that you play?
Boy, that's a great question. There is a piece, but I think it's my work ethic and my good manners. I grew up in a little farm town called Manuka outside of Chicago, but then I started in Chicago theater, and that's a theater community. I think it's the best in the country, and it's not because there's an ulterior motive. You can't get rich or famous in Chicago theater, but you can make the best theater. And that requires dedication and patience and a work ethic. And so it's funny, then when I moved to LA, one of the first things I did was an episode of ER. And the casting director said, I really watch for the people coming from Chicago because you guys bust your ass, you can work all night, and you don't have an ego. You give you guys a sandwich and you'll go all week.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
How is it that these celebrities in LA get younger as time goes on? Like he looks so good.
Well, one, being from Chicago, I think helps.
His hairline.
You don't age as well.
That Lake Michigan water. But I also think Nick Offerman is maybe one of those guys that's kind of had that older look his entire life. Almost equitable to like a Steve Martin. Like Steve Martin.
Oh yeah, he's looked 45 his entire life.
So I think because of that, maybe it just looks like you're not aging because you kind of started out looking older.
I have to pull up a side by side because when I tell you from Parks and Rec, he looked like he was 20 years older.
And also, I think the character of Ron Swanson was kind of this
grumpy
older,
old man.
grumpy character of authority, and I think just by nature of that character, it kind of gave Offerman maybe that vibe of. But even
from The Office,
I know. Steve Carell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
You see him do an interview, you're like, who's this handsome fella?
Yeah.
And then you compare him
aged
to like The Office. What happened? Something in LA.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's like a magic
but a lot
of
guys
Hollywood
like,
tricks
Offerman
out there.
doesn't do a lot of LA. I mean, he stays here. I mean, you see him literally all the time.
So was he a product of the local improv scene or the local theater
he
scene?
did some stuff at Second City. He's got a lot of connections there. And speaking of Second City, another person we had on the show today was nothing but Chicago folks on the show today. We had Jeremy Piven on the show today. He's going to be performing at the Vic Theater on June 6th, next Friday. And he comes on the show all the time, friend of the show, messages us all the time, literally texts me. And hey man, you want to shout? I'm come to Chicago? Yeah, absolutely. I was a huge fan. He's in Grosse Pointe Blank and Old School, and of course
PCU,
Entourage.
Entourage.
Yes, exactly right.
Old School. He plays the dean.
He has a 3-minute sequence in Rush Hour 2 that still to this day makes me laugh. But he is performing on stage, doing some stand-up here. But again, like Nick Offerman, like George Wendt, one of these guys that's got this great on-stage Second City theatrical Chicago experience, and he says it's because of that, and it's because of this city's love and respect and adoration for the arts that it's been able to really kind of boost his career in a lot of ways.
But we all kind of want to believe that our city is going to get just something a little bit different than every other city, and I have a hard time believing that Chicago itself is not going to get a show that's just going to be different from every other show you're doing, man.
My first job after college was Second City with Farley in the 90s, and been lucky enough to do film and TV ever since. But, all roads lead to stand-up in the way that I grew up doing comedy, sketch comedy, improvising, writing on my feet. I don't know if Chicago realizes how many actors and stand-ups they produce. I know you do, but there is a certain cachet when people know you're from Chicago. And I think that one of the biggest variables is that people support the arts. You could be in a 99-seat black box theater and people are going to show up. And I don't think the town realizes how important that is for us, because we get to perform. We have no rust on us. By the time we get out to LA, we're ready to go.
Are you going to go to his show?
If I'm, you guys know better than anybody, the way my schedule works out, I never know if I'm even going to be in town tomorrow, much less the next day. I think I'm in town that weekend, and if so, absolutely I will be there.
I remember when the Bruin View was at the Vic Theater. I don't know if they still do that. In terms of stand-up for Jeremy Piven, is this his first foray into stand-up, or is he an experienced stand-up comedian?
I think a lot of these guys kind of start out oftentimes developing characters and developing personas by doing, whether it's stand-up or doing some improv over at Second City or different spots around. So I think there is that. For a lot of the guys that sort of have that comedy background, it's the equivalent of like going to the gym to be funny. You go out there and you test something out, and then when it bombs, I'll scratch that off the list, and you get a couple of laughs. You go, okay, I might be onto something there.
He makes such a good point though, and that is to get to these neighborhood theaters. There are so many. And I'm not talking about like the Riviera and the Vic, and those are bigger venues, but there are countless storefront theaters where you can see some amazing
outside
drama.
The city of Chicago, in the suburbs.
Absolutely, and it's so fun. I hope that the folks at Choose Chicago do a segment on the neighborhood theaters that you can see, because there's so much talent. I did in prepping for this career path, I actually took a few improv classes myself. Yes, at the Annoyance Theater.
Okay, so what was the most valuable lesson you took out of that still is applicable
today? I think you do. It's almost like camp for adults. You do like zip zap zop. I don't know if these names.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing. Yeah,
exactly. You get to know the techniques to have yes anding come a little more automatically, where you can trust yourself. I always say this out of fear of going viral for the wrong reasons in this, but. You get to be a little bit more confident in not being so scripted and playing off your colleagues. So it's actually a really fun thing to do. So you do all these random exercises. You kind of feel like you're a kid again.
Yeah.
Again, I would describe an improv class as going to camp. It's like camp for adults.
I always heard Oprah took them as well, like when she was kind of getting her start out here in Chicago. So I have heard that, the value, particularly and we've all had to do it, like when we go out and do these live shots and stuff, and we don't have oftentimes the value. Yeah, you got to vamp. There's nothing better than basically you've hit the end of your live shot. You don't have prompter in front of you. You don't really have everything scripted, and you think, oh, I'm at the end, and in your ear we go, hey, we need to stretch this out. You've got 12 minutes.
Let me tell, this is a quick anecdote from my very first market, and this was one of my very first live shots. This happened in Fort Wayne, Indiana, before I took improv classes.
Okay.
So I was doing a cold weather live shot story in downtown Fort Wayne. It was like 0 degrees out, as we all do. There was an outdoor skating rink right behind me, and there were 2 young kids skating around right behind me. And so what I said was, hey guys, if you want to get on TV, I'm about to do a live shot, just keep skating. All right. So, when the anchors tossed out to me, my plan was to say, David and Heather, as you can see, there are only 2 brave souls out on the ice. That's how cold it is. Shot gets out to me. I say, David and Heather, as you can see, it is so cold that only 2 brave souls are out on the ice.
There's 52?
No, there's no one. They bailed. So I turned around and I said, and I didn't know what to do. I froze like a deer in headlights and just started laughing. Now I might be able to ad-lib my way through it.
Make a joke out of it.
Make a joke. It's so cold. They went inside. I didn't. You know what I'm saying? So you're a cub reporter. And so I just started laughing, and I remember the producer was so confused. She gets in my ear and she's like, little laughing attack out there, Anthony.
No way.
And I just I walked off in shame. And I remember going home that day and just feeling like I don't know if I'm right for this. And
but we all gotta have those stories.
I have one too. You guys could probably Google it, because I feel like I'm on like those blooper reels.
Yeah, like on the YouTube.
So this was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it was about Kylo Ren. What's that actor's name?
I know Adam Driver.
Adam Driver.
I know
the
what
clip.
This is. I know
it was so funny because they were tossing to me about he was in a new movie, and he was doing a commercial for the Super Bowl, and I said, he kind of looks like my brother, good job, go him, or something like that. But for some reason, like, I can't remember exactly how it went, but my co-anchor was like, did you just say your brother's cute or something like that? Like he's attractive, like he thought I was hitting on my brother. And then I just lost it. Like you, giggle attack. I like tried to do weather afterwards and I was dying of laughter. And because you know, you feed off other people's energy. So they're dying of laughter. I'm dying of laughter. It was hilarious, but it's one of those things on air. It's kind of like when you go to a funeral and something makes you laugh, and then because you're not supposed to laugh, it makes it even funnier. Ooh.
Don't sit me next to my brother at church.
No.
Right?
That was the.
Yes.
All right, Jake. Thank you as always for being in studio. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And coming up after this break, we have a follow-up to something we were talking about yesterday. We told you about this Michael Jordan jersey that was actually auctioned off for well over $2 million. Oof. We are going to be speaking with the auctioneer himself about these items and kind of all the hype surrounding some of these Michael Jordan
things. Good get on Chicago now.
Yes, exactly.
Hey.
We have good gets on this show. We'll be right back after this.
All right, welcome back. It is 10:43 on Chicago Now. I hope you're having just the most wonderful week. You know, a lot of you probably
You're not
had a long
helping us
weekend.
out in the weather department, Caitlin.
Weather is not great, but you know what? We're alive, and it's another day.
That's right.
You know?
That's
yeah,
right.
A little bit chilly. Just wear your jacket. It'll be fine. Okay, so now we're talking about auctioneers and Michael Jordan. So break this down.
Okay, so yesterday we brought you the story of this astounding total that came in at auction for a game-worn Michael Jordan jersey from the 1992-1993 season. Mm-hmm. And here to tell us more about this and some other items, Mike Provenzale. How do I say your last name, Mike? I'm sorry if I butchered that.
It's perfect. Nailed it.
Yeah.
I did? Provenzale?
Sounded right to me, too. Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay, very, very good. You got a Jordan jersey behind you, it looks like. But let me start off by asking you, what made this particular 1992-1993 uniform so special to collectors?
Oh, a lot of factors went into it. First off is that season, the last season of the Bulls' first three-peat. It was one of Jordan's greatest seasons statistically across the board as far as statistics. And then we use a form of authentication called photo matching, where you take an image of the player in the jersey and then you match it with certain key characteristics to the jersey here. And then you can say without a doubt, it's not only from that season, but it's from these certain games. And we were able to match it to 17 different games, all great performances from Jordan. So that just checks a lot of boxes for collectors.
Let me ask you this. What were the factors? Like, is there anything you can point out on the jersey itself? Was it the fabric? Was it a logo somewhere? What were those physical attributes about the jersey that matched those 17 games?
Well, you can check out the LOA on our site, ha.com, and see exactly how they matched it. But basically, with Jordan being one of the most photographed athletes of all time, advances in technology now where you can utilize high-resolution images, they zoom way in and look at the mesh holes and where they line up with the Bulls logo, the number, his name on the back. So there's all these different data points where you can say, this is the exact jersey that he's wearing this game.
How far apart those letters are spaced.
That's so cool.
So for someone who hadn't heard this story, like me, where did this jersey come from? How did you guys get it? And why are we selling it? Give me all the details.
It came from a private collector. We're the #1 sports auction house in the world, so they reached out to us.
But how did
Jordan
they get
material
it?
has always been incredibly valuable, of course, but in the last 5 years, the prices have really skyrocketed. And this hadn't sold publicly in a long time. It hadn't been photo matched previously, so when we got it, we photo matched it, and it's the only Bulls jersey, not just Jordan, but only Bulls jersey photo matched from that first three-peat. So it's a really unique item. We told the consignor what we thought it would do. We thought it was worth about $2 million, and then it ended up doing more than that, finishing at $2.6 million.
But so the game ends, and then do the jerseys just get left behind? Like, how does this work? How does it work? So he played the game in the jersey, and then he's like, hey, here you go, I'm leaving it, the season's over, and then who gathers it? Who takes it? Do you know that answer? I know it's probably random.
Usually the equipment manager. It depends on the era or the team. But, now a lot of players wear one jersey per game and then they're done with it.
Oh.
Some players, like Luka Doncic, wears 2 jerseys per game. He wears a different one each half.
Whoa.
But back in the 90s, it was a little different. It depends on how frugal the teams are sometimes. And Jordan was one player who would reuse the jerseys. He was removed from it. They would just, after the game, take up the uniforms, wash them, and then roll them out again for the next game.
Mm-hmm.
And for collectors to be able to say it's worn in multiple games, that's a key factor for getting a high result like that.
That's really, really fascinating. So I always remember, can you give us an idea of who the buyers are? I know you can't speak specifically, but we always joke around on the air, okay, yeah, if we have $2.6 million, I'd love to have a game-worn Michael Jordan jersey in my basement in the man cave. But who are these collectors?
People that buy at that level, if you can afford a 7-figure shirt, it's a kind of elite group. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, there's 2 different types. There's people that are just passionate collectors, and they're going to keep it in their collection and maybe show it off and display it at their home or their office. We have a lot of clients like that. And then you have people that are just investors, and it's like buying a very valuable piece of real estate or stock. They might put it in their safe and hold on to it for 10 years and then try to sell it for an increase in the value. And on our site, you can make an offer on any item we've sold. So if you want, they're already right now, the current owner has posted that you could buy this for $3.2 million.
Okay, so a little $600,000 markup there.
That's incredible.
Right, exactly. So, if you miss the auction, you guys want to pool your money together maybe and do a split deal.
Caitlin, you want to go in on the jersey with me?
Yeah, I would love to. $5, you got the rest? I wonder too, like with these items, to see them up close, I wonder if you can see like the sweat marks and like just the grime of like the real athletic wear and tear on these items.
Yeah, if they're washed, all that stuff.
Yeah. Like, did they take it after the game, throw it in the wash, and then try to sell? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
We're unique at Heritage. Heritage has over 50 departments, fine arts, comic books, coins, you name it. But we're one of the few departments where the more beat up and smelly something is, the more value it's going to have for collectors.
I could see that.
When last summer, we sold the jersey Babe Ruth wore in 1932 when he called his shot against the Cubs in the World Series. And, it is over 100 years, almost 100 years old. You could definitely smell the history. You can see it in something like that. And even with modern jerseys, you can feel the aura of greatness. I mean, it's sitting behind me right here. There is an aspect of the tangible feel of history when you're dealing with garments of this magnitude.
Oh, wait, that's it right there? That's the real deal right there?
That's it.
So you can't
back up too fast? Is that the actual jersey itself?
Yeah, he said that's it.
All right. This is great. We're looking at it live. Actually, I can feel the aura now coming through the screen.
Don't cough on it or something. I would be so anxious.
Mike,
with someone as great as Jordan, it pours right through the Zoom call.
Do you see? Yeah, it does pour right through the Zoom call. And Jordan, I mean, he's the logo. He's the iconic Jumpman logo at this point. Yeah. I feel like his legacy has only gotten more and more impressive as time goes on. Mike, do you feel like this is a good investment? They've already upmarked it, 10, 20 years from now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so some athletes, you can consider them in our industry like buying a gold bar. It's going to go up in value. Jordan absolutely is one of those. Babe Ruth, Tom Brady, people like that. It's a very stable investment. Their legacy is locked in. And then you see what happens after the game's over. Like Jordan is going to join the NBA coverage. Right. So that's going to put him more in the public eye again. We're going to get to hear some of his thoughts about the game, which is kind of new. So things like that can help increase the value for items like this.
Do you take selfies and send them to your friends and family?
I do. I'm very lucky. It's an amazing place to work. You see all kinds of history every day. I like to say it's like Christmas morning. You never know what you're going to see from day to day.
It's like being in a sports museum.
It was definitely a thrilling moment when this came in.
All right. Mike, fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it, sir. Mike Provenzale from Heritage Auctions. We appreciate it, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, anytime. I'd love to have him back next time.
How much? $2.63 million.
And now it's listed for 3.2. He said 3.2
for a jersey.
Man,
don't touch it. Yeah, that's a lot of money. I want to know who bought it. Maybe we could get them on the show tomorrow.
Well, they're one of those or if it's a group of investors, hey, let's go in on this. Let's up market because that might go.
Mike Kaplan,
we got to get Mike Kaplan. He bought
Tell
it.
Us the truth.
Let's go to Mike Kaplan's man cave. I bet he's got some
too.
game-worn Jordan jerseys.
I want to know how much Jordan's shoes were. Yeah. Like the original.
Well, there's some Air Jordan 1s I know that they have at the History Museum that are among the first pairs ever sold. And it was sold at Carson Peary Scott here.
Yeah.
I might be fudging my facts, but they have them on display there too. Those Jordan 1s, the first pair.
I feel bad for interrupting him when he was answering my question, but I just am so curious, and especially imagine being that athlete like Jordan or Tom Brady, where you wore something and now someone else has it, and now they're going to sell it and make a ton of money on something that was yours that you wore. It'd be kind of
a bizarre feeling, yeah.
It's just I don't know how that works, because especially like a Tom Brady, if he wore a jersey and he's like, I know that this is worth something, don't you think he would keep them all and keep them and sell them on his Facebook marketplace?
I know that I believe it was this past year. Then the all-time NBA leading scorer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I think it was last year that he actually did decide to auction off for a cause that I can't remember the cause, but he auctioned off, I believe, a number of his championship rings from his playing day.
Because then they could control their items, their sweat, blood, and tears.
Right.
And sell it on their I just don't understand how these items get to where they get to.
Well, we got a little bit of insight from Mike. He was a wealth of info.
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, we have a couple more minutes. We're going to touch on some of today's trending topics on Reddit. So stick around, and we will have that before we sign off here on Chicago Now. Welcome back, everybody. I know before the break that I teased going to Reddit, but in broadcasting, sometimes when something is so good, we have to float stories. We're floating the Reddit because we want to show you this clip that Caitlin mentioned a short time ago with Jake about her now semi-viral moment.
He kind of looks like my brother, too. Maybe that's why I give him a... You go, dude. All right. What? I didn't say he was cute. I didn't say that. All right. Let's talk about the
So then this is the funniest part, is I tried to go back to the green screen. And you'll see, I go back there and I just cannot.
All right, it's cloudy and
I was crying and sweating.
60 now, but
oh wait, where am I? Did I come out?
You guys, you gotta stop laughing.
I feel like I should be on the screen at this point. I don't know what this clip is. This
Here we
is
go.
weird. Oh wait. Oh, there it is. You guys. I could not get it together.
Here.
I was losing it. You know, you get those giggle fits.
I'm like sweating. Okay, wait, no, I got this.
They were trying to. The producer was like, traffic.
I got it.
No, I couldn't. It was too
Deep
much.
breath.
A little bit.
WCCB, where's that?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Aw, back in the little morning
you
show
had
days.
You had your whole life ahead of you.
I
at that
know.
point.
And now I've got a baby and 3 babies, but do we have time to show the pictures, you guys?
Oh yeah, Caitlin was off the last couple days. Let's do some celebrating. Do we have it? We only got 13 seconds
So this is a
left.
picture right after. This is my first meeting baby Bodie. This was a year ago yesterday. So that's me, Bodie, and Grady seeing
Do
baby
we have
Bodie
the 1 year
for the first
later?
time.
There he is.
And there's my handsome little fella, little baby Bodie. That's where I was gone, you guys.
Happy birthday, little baby
We're
Bodie.
celebrating.
What a
little sack of
little
potatoes.
1 year old
It's the birthday was golf. It was hole in
Prince
one.
boy.